Lots to get to here. David Begnaud, good enough to join us now from just outside the courthouse there in Henderson, Texas. And David, again, the latest on this case, and really, why is Tiede back in court today?
Well, look, here's the deal. You got to take us back to the movie, right? So the movie comes out, Linklater does the movie, and a woman shows up at the premiere of the movie, and she walks up to Linklater and she says, "I'm an attorney. I'm fascinated by the movie, and I think there might be something to it. I want to look into it. I think I may be onto something." So the very next day, Linklater goes to her office, drops off all kinds of documents, and then this woman then goes on this journey of trying to figure out if there's something that maybe could convince a judge to let Bernie out. Well, sure enough, she comes upon these journals. Bernie has journaled that he was sexually abused as a child, and they believe, oh, wait, we think that might be reason for a new trial, a new jury, a new judge. And sure enough, guess what? They got it, and they got it with the help. And Josh, this is where it gets really interesting. They got it with the help of a guy named Danny Buck Davidson. Who is that? Well, he's the district attorney in Panola County, the place where the crime was committed. They went to Danny Buck and said, hey, listen, he was abused as a child. Had the jury known that, we think he would have gotten a lighter sentence. And Danny Buck said, you know what? I didn't know that. I wasn't able to bring that up in court or defend the defense bringing that up in court. So guess what? I'm going to go to the judge. I think the judge needs to know this. So he went to the judge, and the judge said, what do you want to do, Mr. District Attorney? And he said, I think, essentially, Bernie needs another chance. Bernie needs another try. And so there's been this story of how the district attorney almost collaborated with the new defense team to get Bernie another try. It was a heck of a twist.
And not just with regard to Richard Linklater's film, there really has been this air of really a cult of celebrity around this case from the very beginning. He was a big hit in Carthage, which is a strange thing to say about somebody convicted of murder, but to the point where even the sheriff himself second guesses whether he actually did it.
Yeah, look, let me tell you this story. I love this story, as told by the man who owns the funeral home in town where Bernie used to work. When the crime was committed, apparently the sheriff, in interviewing Bernie, said, Bernie, who did it? And Bernie said, well, I did. I shot her in the back. And he said, yeah, Bernie, I get it, but who really did it? Okay? Where there's another story, as it is folklore around here, when Bernie was actually arrested, brought to the courthouse in Panola County, and presented before the judge, there were a group of old ladies who apparently wrote on the back of their vehicle, "Free Bernie." We're talking about old ladies with white hair that were probably one step out of the grave. Those are the words of the funeral director who told the story. And they rode around the courthouse with this "Free Bernie" on the back of the glass. I mean, Josh, he was an outright celebrity in the town. Everybody loved him. In fact, the man who owns the funeral home said today he still opens up pre-planned funerals, and it says, I want Bernie to sing the open, and I want Bernie to sing the close. Everybody knew him. Everybody loved him. He was a Chamber of Commerce volunteer. He was a lay preacher. He sang in the choir. If you needed something, Bernie did it. He wasn't from the area, but he moved to the area, and he became the favorite son.
And while it may not make the victim's family happy, what has Bernie been doing since he's been out on bond again for roughly 2 years?
That's interesting. He lives with Linklater, the guy who made the movie. He lives
does?
in his garage. In fact, when he was released, one of the conditions of his release is you got to live with the movie director. So he's been living under the radar, low profile, not doing a ton of interviews, not talking to a lot of people, living with this Hollywood director who is convinced that Bernie deserves this second chance, this resentencing hearing. And this is not a retrial of guilt or innocence. Bernie says he shot the lady. That's settled. The question now is, should he get credit for time served, or should he go back to prison for life? And does the fact that he claims he was sexually abused as a child, does that change his sentence?
Wow. A story, David, that actually exceeded any and all expectation. And you were certainly the perfect man to bring it to us. We appreciate the time today.
Thank you, sir.